Hello everybody, this is me, and I think now we can go for some GS points which are actually going to help you if it is required, if you have to go through the examinations which can actually require you to understand history, geography, any other subject which because actually is required nowadays in all the competitive exams almost. So the first point that I am going to make here is about Gandhiji's policy actually for freedom was named. I can read from here, I can make you understand also. Struggle means he always said that struggle should not be continued for long. He said that it should not be continued for continuously 2 3 4 months or more than that period. He said there should be some truce. Struggle, there is requirement for some break. Any mass movement cannot continue for more than a period. There should be a certain limited period, and beyond that period we should stop it, and after that we should rest, and after some rest we should again proceed. Because if you continue without taking rest, it's not going to have the same impact at as it can have at the beginning. So that's why it's called struggle truth struggle policy. I hope you understand this policy of Gandhiji. This is one point that you have understood. Now we can go for the next point, that is about B.R. Ambedkar. You must have heard about round table conferences that used to be held in London. You know what was special about round table conferences? Round table conferences were always held in London, and the important fact about this was that the British government representatives there in London, in England, and Indian representatives used to be present. You know Mahatma Gandhi's name, he was always there in round table conference. But I must also tell one more person who was always there was Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. There were three round table conferences that took place, and B.R. Ambedkar was present in all the round table conferences. And I must say round table conferences actually were dealing with the Indian struggle, Indians problems, and their demand for freedom. And in the case of B.R. Ambedkar, I can say that he was much more concerned with the problems of Dalit, that he always used to raise the issues of Dalit. It's not Gandhiji and others used to talk about freedom and all, but for B.R. Ambedkar, the most important fact was freedom of Dalits. So always he advocated for reservation, for preserving the rights of Dalits. This is what B.R. Ambedkar did. B.R. Ambedkar actually worshipped by Dalits as a god, because really if we talk about B.R. Ambedkar, he did a lot for Dalits that was actually not done by any other person earlier, because he advocated for their rights in round table conferences, in Indian freedom movements, in Congress, everywhere. So that's why B.R. Ambedkar is known for fighting for the rights of Dalits, and the privilege and the rights which actually Dalits are enjoying there today, and the respect that they are getting just because of B.R. Ambedkar. He was actually the sole person behind everything that Dalits actually are enjoying today. Others also were working for Dalits. Mahatma Gandhi also worked for Dalits, but B.R. Ambedkar was primarily concerned with this issue only. He was not thinking of any other point. He was just concerned with this issue, and he raised this issue everywhere in round table conferences, in this place, that place, whenever he get a chance. He spoke about the problems of Dalits and fought for that. He himself had struggled a lot. His biography, if you study, you will find that he himself had struggled a lot, and then he studied in foreign, and then returned from there, and then did a lot many things for Dalits. Okay, there are certain points that I can talk about here. He actually had set up Bahishkriti Hitkarni Sabha. Bahiskriti, if I talk in Hindi, it's like making someone out. Bahiskar. It's like you're not accepting these people to be part of yours. As in Hindus, upper castes, Brahmins, Kshatriyas, and West were not accepting Harijans as part of their religion and their society. They were just Bahiskriti. Means somewhere they were not accepting, they despised them. And that's why he formed a Sabha, a society to protect their rights. This is named as Bahiskriti Hitkarni means for welfare. Bahishkriti Hitkarni Sabha, and that he set up in 1923. Okay, 1923. You should always keep this date in mind. Simply ask about Bahishkriti Hitkarni Sabha was formed in which year. So this was in 1923, and actually this was devoted for spreading education and culture among the downtrodden. Downtrodden means Dalit people. So he actually thought that if we have to uplift the conditions of downtrodden Dalit people, so we have to do one thing, that we have to uplift their status through education and culture. We have to provide them culture, and for which they had actually been criticized that they don't know culture. So culture was to be taught, and also at the same time culture and education was to be given to them. Bharskriti Hitkarmi Sabha was formed in 1923 by Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, and he advocated for the rights of Dalits, and he advocated for reforms through the means of education and culture. Okay, so this is another fact that I gave to you. We can proceed for next fact which can be helpful for you. Just wait. The next fact is that it was said that Gandhiji thought that if we talk about the problems of untouchables, it can be solved through Gram Panchayats. Gandhiji never thought of Dalits, you know, separating them and then thinking of for them a different religion and all. He wanted reform, and he wanted panchayats and people to be sympathetic, to be working. But this is what he talked. He said, you know, B.R. Ambedkar said, no, these panchayats are not going to harm, not going to help anyway. They actually are dominated by upper caste people, and that's why he said that this is not going to be the way for uh, freedom from all such atrocities which are done against the Dalit people. So Gandhiji's opinion was different. He wanted reform in Hindu religion, but B.R. Ambedkar talked about changing religion and adopting Buddhism, and he said panchayats and gram people cannot do any change because they are dominated by upper class people, and they having the mindset that Dalits don't deserve anything. So I hope you understand. One was actually a bit sympathetic, not being that radical, but B.R. Ambedkar was radical. He was clear that Hindus are not going to respect Dalits. That's why Dalits should adopt Buddhism and leave Hinduism, which was actually not recognizing its Dalits to be its part. So that was the point, and we can go for the next point. I must say that in Second World War, government of India means at that time in 1939 around, when it was Second World War which started, government of India decided that India has to take part into Second World War, and it declared war against Germany without consulting Congress Working Committee. So Congress Working Committee, when it got to know that it has been not informed, and the British government that is actually ruling that time, Indian British government that time declared war against Germany. So they all, Congress Working Committee members, resigned on this ground that they were not informed about these things, and they were not consulted. So they resigned from their post. Okay, next point we can go for. On January 25, 1931, I am just going to talk about Mahatma Gandhi and Lord Irwin Pact. I must say, on January 1931, before this date, Gandhiji and so many other national freedom fighting leaders were imprisoned. But on this date, January 25, 1931, they were released. So Congress Working Committee decided to have conversation with British government, and that's why Gandhiji was authorized to talk with Lord Irwin, the Viceroy of India that time. So there was conversation between this person, Gandhiji, and Mahatma Gandhi and Lord Irwin. So what actually became the outcome? What outcome came out of this? I'm just going to talk about that. This was named as Delhi Pact, also as Gandhi-Irwin Pact, and this was done on February 14. We should remember February 14 is the day that we celebrate Valentine's, and everybody knows. We should also know that this is a day also known for Gandhi-Irwin Pact, Delhi Pact. That was in the year 1931. So this was the case, and I must say what happened in this, that conceded means you are accepting certain things unwillingly. If I say I concede, means I am accepting unwillingly things, because I am perhaps forced, or because I have to give to you something. Okay, sometimes children just ask for their parents, give this, parents conceded, okay, unwillingly, let go like that. So this is what is happening with the British government. British government conceded to several demands of Indians, means Mahatma Gandhi and his Congress people, and they allowed certain things like village people could form their own salt to consume it, because salt was earlier banned. They were not allowed to consume and create it. It's like going by seaside and make their own salt. But this, after Gandhi went back, they were allowed to make salt for consumption. But one thing is there, Gandhiji's two demands. We always say Gandhiji is always blamed for not asking for Bhagat Singh and his followers, Bhagat Singh, Rajguru, Sukhdev's. They were hanged. These three Indian freedom fighters were hanged after Gandhi went back, and this Gandhiji is blamed that Gandhiji did not try to get them free. But the case is that I must tell you is that Gandhiji actually advocated for their freedom, and he was denied. Lord Irwin denied. He said, no, we cannot. And another thing was that they were adamant on that they are not going to free. Then Gandhiji demanded for commutation. Commutation means he wanted, if you not releasing them, at least change their the nature of their imprisonment. That is, they were to be hanged. Please don't hang them. Rather, make it life imprisonment. Lord Irwin also denied this one also. He said, no, we are not going to even commute this from hanging to life imprisonment. So we can say Gandhiji is not to be much blamed. It was Lord Irwin and British government which should be blamed for not taking care, not listening to Gandhiji and Congress people when they demanded for release of Bhagat Singh. Okay, so this confusion is always there, that you should not keep in mind, because they actually conceded to several demands about making salt for consumption, but they did not agree on issues which were